Siri. I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning, and you're listening to a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We appreciate you joining the program today. JC and I both are on here. We're going to have Scott Carter, second portion of today's program. We are coming to you live as usual. Not a whole lot going on in the sports world. Good morning, JC. You're on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. What's happening?
Well, sitting on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi at an issue with the death in the family, so we're down here now till Saturday, and it's the weekend here is called Cruising the Coast, which is a big deal in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, which means every hotel room that's non-smoking has been taken. So for some reason in Mississippi, and I would guess in maybe some other southern states, and maybe I'm stereotyping here, but I think I'm pretty accurate, they still offer rooms with smoking privileges. So anyway, most people go outside, but there's still hotel rooms in Mississippi that have rooms that say you can smoke in them. And I'm just bewildered as to how that could possibly be in today's day and age. But I think I found the last non-smoking hotel room in Mississippi at the Hampton Inn Moss Point, right off Highway 63. There we are. Yeah, Hampton Inn Moss Point, and that's where I'm at. So we're here till the weekend. And that's what's going on with me. But I did a lot of digging into some things, QB. Where do you want to start today?
Well, let me start by this. We had a bunch of Facebook Lives already. Everybody talking about congratulations on being a granddad. I appreciate everybody.
Yeah.
If you want to know what I'm going to be called, going to be called, I don't know. That has not really been discussed. The youngin can't talk, obviously. So I guess whatever comes out of his mouth is what they will call me. I don't really know.
The youngin. Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. Well, I'm going to say you're going to be like Pop or something like that.
Yeah, I really don't care.
I'm a Papa John. I'm Papa John. So
Papa John, like the pizza place. They named you after the pizza place, JC.
That's right. I'm Papa. That kid wanted me to be Papa John, so that's what I am. Aiden. Yeah.
That's good stuff. All right. So, well, first of all, of course, I've kind of been out of it the last couple of days and still am, but we got Major League Baseball. First round of the playoffs, first games happened last night. I thought the wild card, correct me if I'm wrong, when did they go to series? I thought it was a one-game deal in the past. Is that not correct?
Well, no, it's changed when they added another team. There's 3 wild card. Is there 3 wild card teams? I think there's 3 wild card teams and 3 division winners. And, yesterday, I don't know what Tampa Bay was trying to do, bringing out the old uniforms, the Devil Ray uniforms, looking like the old Devil Rays with 4 errors and no runs. And Texas comes in after losing a game in Seattle, had to get in a plane, fly 6.5 hours or 6 hours, whatever it was, from Seattle to Tampa, and go and didn't get a week off like the Astros. By losing to Seattle, they lost in a tiebreaker to the Astros. The Astros then won the division that they were in with Texas. Texas then has to go play a wild card game across the country and wins 4-0. So, the same thing with the Diamondbacks. They had to travel almost across the country to Milwaukee, and they win 6-3. So I was surprised by those results, and then we had the Phillies, but and then we've got more today. So I think it's when they went to 3 teams to answer the question.
I'm looking at the scores, and obviously, if everybody missed it, the Rangers beat the Rays 4-0. Twins win 2-1 over the Jays. The Diamondbacks 6-3 winners over the Brewers, and the Marlins lose 4-1 to the Phillies. JC?
Right.
For $1 million, can you name one player on the Texas Rangers?
Well, I do know they drafted a great Florida Gator ball player.
Well, he ain't suiting up.
But the question,
well,
the answer is. Go ahead.
I know one player, and I think he pitched one game and got hurt. Jacob deGrom, but he's no longer on the roster, I don't think. Okay, so let's move. I know you know some people on the Rays. I couldn't tell you anybody on the Rays. The Blue Jays, could you name one player for the Blue Jays or the Minnesota Twins?
Yes, I can name Dante Bichette Jr., I guess his name is, for the Jays.
Yeah,
and
they got two
Twins,
kids.
Yeah, Vlad Guerrero, and Bichette, and then Bichette. And then as far as the Twins go, all I know is they won their first postseason game out of the last 18, which spans back to like 20 years ago. Something like that.
Is Kirby Puckett still playing?
No, I was thinking Frank Viola would be the starting pitcher too, but he wasn't available. It's just, look, these teams, these young players.
We're not done. We're not done.
Okay.
We're going to move to when did the Diamondbacks even become relevant? I couldn't name one player for them.
You're right.
Did you name anybody for the Brewers?
No, hell no. I know Craig Counsell is their manager. I can tell you that. But no, I used to know. I mean, this is Jeff Cardozo country here, dude. You're getting into, pro baseball. Yeah, it's just, how much do we watch, QB? I mean, honest to God, during the season, how much do you watch? The answer is very, if any. Very little, if any. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know you can name somebody from the Phillies. I can't name one player from the Marlins, but I can name some Philly players.
Oh, yeah. No, the Phillies,
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper. That's exactly right, Bryce Harper. And then the kid that pitched last night, Zach Wheeler, he was very good for them, I think, last year when they were in the playoffs. Look, the Phillies, one thing I'll say about Philadelphia, that town, those fans really show up like they're like the Yankee fans or the Mets fans or the, up there in the Northeast, the Red Sox, they really get into it. Baseball is huge. And I think that's what keeps it living. But baseball, those fans get into the postseason like it's an SEC football game. I mean, they're really jacked up, as opposed to 19,000 people that showed up to St. Petersburg to watch their team, the Rays, play, who have been outstanding in the last 5 years. And you're telling me that management wants to build a $1.6 billion stadium in St. Petersburg, and they had 19,000 people in virtually the same location they're going to put the new stadium. You tell me how that makes any sense, and then tell me how these rich people who are going to build this place got their money, because none of it makes sense to me whatsoever. I guess it's just part of the deal they may have cut in Tampa, St. Pete, but my God, nobody down there cares. And it's so different than what the Phillies can offer during a wild card game. So it's that's one of the things I noticed was that, damn, nobody gives two craps about this down there in St. Pete. They're about to invest $1.6 billion in downtown St. Pete for a roof and a stadium, another stadium virtually in the same spot, and nobody goes. And yet up in Philadelphia, man, you got kids banging on the roof of dugouts. Okay, you got kids banging on the roof of dugouts on a school night to watch their Phillies play the Miami Marlins, and I promise you they won't have 20,000 people down there either, if they even get to play a game down there. If Philly wins today or tomorrow, whenever they're playing again, there won't be a game in Miami. So it's because it's best 2 out of 3. That's crazy to me.
So if I guess you can fly home and play one game for the series. I don't know how that works.
So right. If Tampa wins today, then they'll have a deciding game in Texas. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I think. So
31 M. Burr says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, the game was in the middle of the day on Tuesday. Relax, Papa John.
I know. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But come on, 19,000 fans for a playoff game? I mean, this is the season right here. This is the season. If they only pull 19,000 fans today, with the possibility that this could be the last game of what has been a pretty overachieving season for a team like that, then they don't care. But I that did make me laugh.
They play every o'clock day, so we'll see if more people skip work or whatever. On the Titan MR text line from Daryl, he says former Clay High and Gators pitcher Dave Dunning is on the Rangers roster.
Okay, well that's interesting, I guess. The Rangers are, they have a beautiful place to play, and then Arlington. You've been to it. I've been to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's right there by Texas Live and Jerry World. It's fabulous. It really is. I think it's fabulous. I haven't been inside. You have, but yeah, they're excited about that. I mean, they'll have a good draw there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Timmy, let me switch gears for some. I ran across a tweet yesterday that kind of, I think, dictates what we've watched with Florida football in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. Can I read this to you? Because this is crazy.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. Let's hear it.
All right. Since the cleat toss, you remember when Marco threw the cleat, right, against LSU?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Florida's 15-19 overall, 6-14 in the SEC, 2-9 versus top 25 teams, including 0-3 against Kentucky, 0-2 against Georgia, 0-3 against LSU, 0-3 in the bowl games, and have had 2 consecutive losing seasons, 2-15 away from the swamp, including neutral sites, and the only 2 wins away from the swamp since the cleat toss was South Florida. And can you name the other one? You were there.
Well, repeat the question one more time.
Who were the only 2 games that Florida's won? What were the only 2 games that Florida has won away from the swamp? Yeah. Texas A&M and USF.
And they had and the Aggies had like 28 players out due to COVID or the flu or something
correct.
in that game.
That is exactly right. So that is where I think the foundation for the frustration comes from with the Florida Gator Nation, and that record has to change.
Well,
There's going to be a lot.
Well, it's like I said, JC, on the show on Monday. You're on the show Monday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Florida's been playing football, I think, for 127 years, give or take. They've only had a run of about 25 years of legitimate dominant football.
But I'm going to agree with what Edgar Thompson said after you started bringing out this realm of mediocrity and is this who we are? And what Edgar said was exactly how I feel about it. Back in the 70s, and with the exception of 2 years in the 80s, nobody was spending $7.5 million on coaches. And guess what? A lot of schools still don't and win a lot of football games. Mike Elko's not making 7.5. Sonny Dykes last year did not make 7.5. Marcus Freeman, I don't think makes $7.5 million. There's a lot of good teams and great. How about Jake Dykes at Washington State? You think he's making 7.5? What about Jonathan Smith? Is he making 7.5 at Oregon State?
I agree.
No, the answer is hell no. So Edgar's right. Edgar's right.
I agree with that, but none of those teams that you just mentioned ever won a national title, so they're not going to pay their coaches because they've never been there. That's where you're going. Like, if Florida had not won 3 national titles, I think they'd still be. Regardless, we got a long ways to go. But Tony says on Facebook Live, you can't see it, JC, but your picture that they have up here of you.
Yeah.
Tony says looks like JC runs a funeral parlor in that photo. You do. You're like a funeral director.
Thanks a lot, Zach. Well, I'm actually going to one on Saturday, but thanks a lot there, Tony. But Zach, what are you doing to me, bro? I mean, do I really look that bad? I mean, do I look like the Undertaker or something? What am I? What do I look like? I'll look at it when we get off the air.
You got a coat and towel. You look like it's your financial planner photo.
A funeral director.
Okay. 31 M. Burr on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Florida is Nebraska now until it's not. I mean, that's a good analogy there.
That is.
And he also wants to know, hypothetically, who would I like to see as the OC?
Oh, we're already hiring an OC now. I mean, that was out of the question 2 weeks ago. Now we're doing one.
I guess. I mean, look,
well, forget it. It ain't happening. Not with this guy.
Well, I think they will next year. I think they have to, unless we turn it around and we win the rest of our games. You
were going on and on about that's who Billy Napier is, and that's why he was hired. You went on and on about that. What are you talking about?
Right, but I agree. But it's no different than Jimbo. Jimbo used to be the play caller. He went and got Bobby Petrino, who I think is one of the top 5 in America. I don't know who he would go hire. I don't know if he's going to hire. But, JT, you can't sit here. I just look. If Billy wants to run the football, I get it. I'm all for that. Them days are over, man. You got to play up tempo, fast paced, and I'm telling you right now, nothing would make me happier in the booth if we came out in 4 wides and went fast Saturday. I mean, that's wishful thinking.
Well, maybe Billy's watching right now and thinking to himself, "What should I do on Saturday?" And if he's hearing you say this, I mean, why not? What has he got to lose? Let's look at it like this way. He'll probably do it if he's told to, because of that $7.5 million and the job. But I don't know if that's what he wants to do. And I don't, you were very emphatic when you said he is the OC. He calls his own plays. Now, yeah, Jimbo's a different story over there in Texas A&M, though. He's making $10 million. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you could be right. I mean, I don't think it'd be a bad idea. I mean, anything's better than what we're watching. But it's frustrating. I'll just tell you that.
Ted says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, I think we dominated with Spurrier and Meyer because their offensive schemes were unique and light years ahead of defenses. Well, you got to give your. I'm telling you, the quarterback is good. The wide receivers are very good. Let's let them go play ball. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, he says, where did it go? I got to read this one. Oh, Andrew says, JC looks like he's going to sell me a used car or get my vote.
Holy crap. I need to get a new picture made. Oh, my God.
That's a great picture. It's a great picture, JC.
It's a great picture of a car salesman, a funeral director, and a politician. Now, it could be stated that every one of those 3 occupations is very, very successful. Now, it could be. I mean, I don't know a funeral director that's hurting. I certainly don't know many politicians that are hurting unless they don't win. And then what else would I be selling? A car.
Well,
there could be.
Yeah. Car salesman.
I guess car salesman could be hurting, but. All right. Well, I'm a car salesman.
Here's what Hal says on Facebook Live. We need to be equally aggressive on both offense and defense and play to win, not play to lose. I agree. If you're going to, go down swinging. Like I told you, these are the best skill players we have had since Trask had that remarkable year throwing the football.
Yeah.
He says, Greg says, Grandpa, you're saying Louisiana was a high-powered offense? I didn't say that. I didn't even watch Louisiana hardly. I never said they were. I'm just saying we need to throw the football. It will help. It will help your rushing attack. I promise you. And then Chris, but hang on. Here's a great stat because I was on a couple other shows and people brought this up as well. He says, so everyone is just going to ignore the fact that the defense didn't show up at Kentucky. I mean, that's a fact, too. The defense got their ass handed to them.
Oh, handed to them. They got manhandled physically. And, I mean, it's no secret what Stoops does, right? I mean, he's been doing the same damn thing, but he brings a level of intensity and physicality to the game that you have to match. And Georgia has, and that's why Georgia has hit them back in the face year after year after year, and I think people want to see Florida do that. But QB, I'm starting to think right now we need to rename this podcast Grandpa in the Morning. Two grandpas and a Zoom. A grandpa. We got 2 grandpas on the podcast, and but anyway, all right. I digress.
Digress.
Folks hate seeing the fact that physically this team just didn't show up against Kentucky. Folks hate seeing that. They hate seeing soft play. And they thought that maybe after that Tennessee game, things would be different. And it wasn't the case.
Well, the difference is Tennessee's a finesse football. Tennessee is not a tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tennessee brought a physical element last year against Alabama that was impressive. I mean, they only took Bryce Young's head off, but and didn't get called for any roughing penalties, but they still did. I don't know how he walked off the field last year, but Tennessee is Tennessee. I mean, why would it be different physically with Missouri? I mean, they'll bring physical play to you. I'm not sure about Vanderbilt, but Missouri, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I just want to see them get a little bit more pissed off out there. I don't know.
Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline, we'll have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. We got some text to get here on the Titan MR text line. Chris from Cottondale says, Shane, you are absolutely right. We have been mediocre the majority of our history. We have had 2 good runs with 2 of the all-time greatest college football coaches. Does it take a legendary coach for us to be successful over time? We can't have a good coach and be dominant. We have to have a Hall of Famer. Those are all questions he's asking. But
yeah,
if you look at the history, that is true.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, when you have dominant teams that are successful and have great records and win championships, then you classify that coach as a legendary type coach, right? He's a good coach first, and then he was a legendary coach later. I mean, Spurrier won at Duke, made him a good coach, but he won a championship at Florida, and all those SECs made him a legend. Same thing with Urban Meyer, good coach at Utah, and then became a great coach at Florida. So, with championships. So, who is going to be that guy that steps up as a good coach? Now, is he saying the Florida needs to have a legend come in here? Like, somebody like not Lou Holtz, but a name like that to coach the Gators?
Well, he's saying the only successful years where we were dominant, you had Hall of Fame legend coaches. I don't know if there's any out there. I mean, there probably are, but I mean, they were all hired before they became legends. Here's the thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. This is what I like to tell people when it comes to calling plays. It's an ability that you are born with, JC. I said this, I don't know if it was on my show or another show. It's just like the good Lord blesses people who can run fast. He blesses people that have tremendous arms. Can you work on your arm strength and speed? Yeah, a little bit, but you either have it or you don't. It's the same way calling plays. You either have it or you don't. You have that knack of knowing I'm going to call this play right now, but I know what play I'm calling no matter what happens the next play because I'm setting something up or I'm taking a shot here. I'm running a reverse. You have that knack. And some people have it, some people don't. Spurrier is the best I've ever seen at it. Urban didn't call plays, so he didn't have that knack. Mullen called his plays, and Mullen was a very good play caller. But anyway, let's get to this text here on the Titan MR text line. This is from Chris in Mayaca. It's a shame the knives started to come out, like I said the other day. Mark Long from the AP asked Billy if he needed to hire an offensive coordinator. Billy didn't dismiss it, but said no changes we've made this year. Well, I do agree with that because there's only one coach on the offensive staff that has ever called plays. And I don't know how long he called plays or how many plays he called. It's Russ Callaway, the tight end coach. He called plays a little bit at Samford, but nobody else has ever called plays. And so we'll see what happens there. But again, we got a ton of.
Would you agree that a lot of that too is? Would you also agree though that calling plays and being blessed with that talent has a lot to do as well with anticipating what defenses may or may not do, kind of like anticipating as a quarterback. You have to kind of have a clue or a feel for what they're going to try to do and set up some mismatches and some successful formations and so forth. So, those things, I think that's what Andy Reid does so well. Is he can look at a defense and just pick it apart.
It's unbelievable. But he's scheming up stuff and he's running fake reverses, fake jet sweeps, or he's setting so much stuff up. They're so creative. I love watching them. But he's got a natural ability, and Kyle Shanahan is phenomenal as well. They have a natural ability of how to scheme and how to call a game. And can you learn that? Maybe you can. I don't know. I just think it's something that you just have. So anyway. A lot of people are calling you to handle the funeral session after we lose to Vanderbilt.
After we lose to who we're going to lose to Vanderbilt? Oh, right. No, I don't even want to think about that. I'm not going to think about it. That's just they lost last year you're allowed to lose to Vanderbilt once every 30 years. Last year was that year. Hopefully it won't happen again. Otherwise there will be a funeral.
Very true. Yeah. You had something else you wanted to talk about, JC,
No, you may have heard something. There's a lot of noise going on. This cruising the coast. You should see all these 57 Chevys and all these dragsters, and I mean it's crazy. All these cars. I mean the love affair with cars is amazing here in this area during this week. It is crazy, but anyway, I was thinking of quarterbacks too, QB, and I'll let you get to Scott here shortly. But look, I looked at Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, and I looked at Patrick Mahomes. There is a stat in the first 7 career starts. Listen to Brock Purdy, 7-0. His touchdown to interception ratio 13-2, 68% completion percentage, and a passing rating of 114. That is better in all 4 metrics against the one and only Patrick Mahomes. How about that for Brock Purdy? And the Niners are getting him for $9. Yeah, and they're paying him $900,000. That's it, $900,000.
Yeah.
So
he's a extremely accurate quarterback. He's smart and he's tough, and that's all you got to be.
And he's got a great coach helping him play quarterback. I mean, my God.
Yep. No doubt about it. He's a very good player. I love watching them play.
Mahomes was 6-1, 18-5 touchdown interceptions, and a 63.6% completion percentage. So Purdy beats him on all 3 metrics for the first 7 starts. It's crazy. Brock Purdy, man, my God, what a steal! They stole that guy in the last pick of the draft.
Yes, they did. JC, do you know we have college football games tonight?
So I tell you this, I think there's a game in college football or pros every night for the rest of the calendar year up to like December the 5th or something. So every night every night between now and that conference championship weekend in December, or that week of, I should say, I don't know, it's something like that. There is a college or pro football game on every single night. So get excited about that if you're a junkie. And there's football. MACtion is going to start happening now. We love MACtion. And speaking of the MAC conference, they've had some really good wins against Power 5 schools this year alone. So you can't dismiss those teams or the way they play football. It's really impressive to me because they literally play in front of 15 people every night they play, and they play in the middle of the week a lot of times to get that exposure. I love watching that stuff, man. I'm going to watch it too.
Yeah, we got a text on the Titan Mark text line from Jim. He says, Shane, do they still have Gator Growl? Yes, Gator Growl is now, at one time I think they moved it to Flyvet Field. I think it's back in the O'Connell Center now. It's nowhere near what it used to be. I don't know much about it. They still have the Gator Gallop. So, JC, if you're back in town, you can go on the jog. I don't know how far that Gator Gallop is, but you can go to the parade. The parade will be Friday. A lot of distractions this week, but a lot of people will be coming. I would assume a lot of people come back for this game. It's a 4:00 kick. There's a lot of good football games this week.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there are some great ones. We'll get to them on Friday for sure with our picks and so forth. But Red River. Where Sankey is this weekend? I mean, all these games in the SEC. Where do you think he is this weekend? The commissioner of the SEC. I'll give you one guess.
I think he'll be in Athens, Georgia.
He will be in Dallas, Texas.
Well, I was going to pick them, but I was thinking maybe he's not allowed to go since there's still a Big 12 teams playing, so I wasn't sure.
He will be in Dallas, Texas at the Cotton Bowl, bro. And, that game, 2 unbeatens, 2 quarterbacks that are, listen, we've talked a lot about Quinn Ewers, but let's not forget about the kid at Oklahoma that came from Central Florida.
Dylan Gabriel.
I mean, Dylan Gabriel is having a year. And Oklahoma, somebody told me, they're good every year. They were hot trash last year under Brett Venables. I don't even think they had a winning record or went to a bowl game. And they've turned it around.
No, they were 6-6, and they lost to your Seminoles in their bowl game.
So they were 6-6. But they lost. Okay, so then they went 6-7. But they were 6-6. That's by Oklahoma standards unheard of. And they have turned it around, going 5-0 with a quarterback and a passing offense. And remember, this is a defensive coach, Brett Venables. Okay, so it can happen. He just had to get the right offensive staff and the guy calling the plays. I think it was a different guy this year. So
the same crew was there last year on offense.
Well, then Dylan Gabriel.
They're playing better defense this year. It's still not great defense, but Oklahoma couldn't stop anybody last year in year one under Brent Venables. But they had the same play caller, the same quarterback, same offensive guys. They just struggled.
Well, should be a good one in Dallas at 11 a.m. before anybody can speak at the State Fair. So that's where it's going to be. So that's that. You got that game. You got the Kentucky Georgia game. That's going to be watchable. QB, let me tell you something. I still don't think, even with what we saw from Kentucky and Ray Davis, who's outstanding, I still don't think they're going to do anything. Look, why is Georgia a 17-point favorite? I would not be surprised one iota if Georgia beats them 34-13. Would you?
I wouldn't be surprised, but Kentucky can muddy the game up and slow it down. I do know this. Devin Leary's going to have to play. Devin Leary was 19 of 20 for 65 yards, I think, against us.
Well,
he's going to have to make
9 of 20.
That's what I said, right?
You said 19. He's completed 9 passes. Yeah,
he was terrible. He's going to have to play better. But Georgia's not offensively. They're missing Stetson Bennett and probably some other guys that I'm not aware of that have moved on. But it's a game that Kentucky can just muddy it up and make it low scoring, which it probably will be. We'll see. I think Georgia will still find a way to win, but I'm anxious to watch the Texas OU game.
Yeah, and then down the road in College Station, you got, I think, the winner of this game is headed toward Atlanta. For some reason, A&M has kind of picked it up a little bit defensively. Their front seven specifically. Max Johnson is not a big drop-off from Connor Wigman. And if A&M beats Alabama, I think they win the West. Now, vice versa, if Alabama goes down there and beats them, then Alabama's winning the West. I think this game is for the West. I know it's early October. I still see that happening because I don't think LSU has got the defense to do it. I wouldn't want to see LSU in the SEC championship game. And I don't think they will make it. And Arkansas, no. Mississippi still no. Auburn, no.
Alabama plays A&M this week?
Alabama plays A&M at 3:30 on CBS. It's a hell of a day of football, dude. It's kind of like I'm calling this moving day. This is moving day on Saturday. We're going to find out who's got the pole position in the East and in the West. And if Kentucky does beat Georgia, then my God, that could be something that just really shakes the world. And here's the thing. If Georgia, right now I'm hearing a one-loss SEC champion may have trouble getting into the playoff, if you can imagine that. So with all the other things that are going on in football, with the Pac-12's emergence and Notre Dame, blah, 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 Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and so forth. But I think if Alabama A&M winner comes out of there unscathed without a lot of injuries, same thing with Georgia, Kentucky, you're looking at the two front runners. Two winners of those two games, I think will get very close to locking up Atlanta. I just believe that.
Yep. All right. Well, good stuff, JC. We're going to move on out of you. Move out of here because we got to get to Scott Carter. That's JC. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We'll take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structure with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Going to the Titan More Hotline, we're joined by senior writer, FloridaGators.com, Scott Carte. How you doing, my man?
Hey, good morning, Shane. Doing well, man. Just midweek for the homecoming game, so getting ready for Saturday and see if the Gators can turn something around.
Scott, are you going to be in the Gator Gallop?
You know, I'm not going to be there. I've got something going on with the family, but are you going to be there in a tux?
No, I don't do any Gator galloping. Let me ask you this real quick. You may or may not know this, but Gator Growl, they have it in the O'Connell Center now. Do they still have like a band or a comedian come to it, or no?
You know, up until recent years, I mean, I don't know who the star performer this year, but I had this conversation the other day because to be honest, I wasn't even for sure when it was. I mean, you remember how big this thing used to be. It's just one of those things that has kind of fell by the wayside, or just not as big with the younger crowd these days. But I remember, you know, the swamp being packed with, gosh, they had Billy Crystal, Robin Williams. They had some big names back in the day.
Yeah, they really did. All right, so it's homecoming. Vanderbilt's rolling into town. We all know what happened last week. What's your gut? I mean, obviously, we've had people send messages here on the Titan More text line, YouTube, Facebook about Billy kind of getting kind of chippy at his press conferences lately when people ask about play calling. Just what's your overall feeling on? Do you think he's not going to make any changes? There's no changes to make right now. But do you think he changes any way he calls plays this week?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, maybe he does a few things differently. I mean, he's been so scrutinized this week, and you know, he said it after the game. Look, some of this criticism's deserving, and some of it's probably not. That's the way it goes when you're the head coach of any program. But when you're at Florida and you play like they did at Kentucky, obviously the criticism is going to get louder. And I think at this point where they are, you know, he's got his system. He's still trying to build some things around it. I think of all the things that, you know, people could question a lot of things. I mean, some of the calls, I mean, you're right. On third down and long, they're running some. I don't quite get that. I know he's a big analytics guy. You know, I don't know if that's sometimes what the charts tell him. I just think he's going through those growing pains. I've seen it before. You've seen it before. A young coach in the biggest spotlight of his career, and now he's tasting a little bit of failure for the first time. Even though he's 9-9 in his first 18 games, we all know what that means at Florida. It doesn't mean the same at other schools. So he's gonna have to, I think, just adapt and probably make some changes. I don't know if they're gonna be mid-season, but it doesn't seem like that's his way. But he also is still trying to figure out some things, I think, with this team and these players, and they got to execute better. I mean, that's the bottom line, Shane. I mean, they just got to execute better, make some plays when they're there. But as far as this play call, I don't expect anything drastic for fans to see on Saturday.
Yeah. Mark on the Titan of our text line from West Palm sent me the itinerary. Gator Growl. So it's a concert with Jason Derulo and Sammy Adams, whoever they are. Don't even know who they are. So that's your Gator. That's your Gator Growl. Scott, I've been joking around with some of you media guys for the press conference. And I don't know if you asked me any questions. No, Edgar and those guys do, but I don't think Edgar's asked my question. And I could be wrong, but I'm about 90% sure I'm right on this. We have yet in 2 years to line up with four wide receivers. And I just want somebody to ask that.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. It's something I obviously hadn't thought of, but you're right. You don't see that. He's a two tight end, a lot of movement, and I don't know if at Louisiana that's something he did, or if he was doing the same thing there that we've seen at Florida. I just, it's easy, like I said, it's easy to scrutinize after that game the other day. And I think we all have, you just want to see a different performance out there. And whether or not, it's four receivers or more deep balls down the field or more Trevor Etienne or more whoever, you always have these same suggestions almost every week. At least I get them on social media when things go wrong. Maybe some of that stuff happens as they really evaluate things. Maybe not. But yeah, it's a good question, Shane. I don't know if I've never heard that asked, and I haven't asked it in a press conference, but maybe it's one that will come up.
Yeah, I mean, we either play with two tight ends or one tight end, but we never put four wide receivers on the field at one time. And he's probably going to talk about, it eliminates some runs, which it does, but it also puts teams in nickel where it allows you to run the ball a little bit better. So, anyway, that's my big deal, because I think if I were coaching today, if they call me in and say, hey, you get 2 series, what are you going to do? I'm going, I'm putting Andy Jean in the game. I'm putting Aiden Mizell in the game. I'm putting Trey Wilson in the game if he's allowed to play. And I'm putting Ricky Pearsall. And I'm going to put ETN in the backfield, and we're going to go. And we're going to go fast.
Yeah.
And I just think put your fastest and best players on the field, and let's go. So that's just my thoughts on that. Let's see here. Michael on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, Shane, did Spurrier really drop ball plays in the dirt on the sideline? Yes. I do it too. When I was coaching high school ball, I did it last year in the XFL. And my assistant coaches would be going, what are you doing? We haven't practiced these. I was go, it doesn't matter. They understand the concepts. What I'm trying to get called here, it'll be fine. But yes, we did that all the time. It wasn't really in the dirt. It was more on the grease board. When he was playing, they had to draw him up in the dirt, but we had the grease board on the sideline. Scott, from an injury standpoint, how do we look going into this game?
Well, I mean, it was a physical game up in Kentucky. I mean, some guys I think are dealing with some things this week, at practice. And it's one of those games where I don't know with Wilson where he is. And I'm hoping that he can get back out there. I thought they could have used him at Kentucky to make some plays. But I think the thing that really surprised me more than anything about that game Saturday, Shane, was really how much Kentucky just outmuscled them. I've seen a lot of Florida Kentucky games over the years. I don't remember one where they just got outmuscled. And Kentucky's won a couple in recent years, but not in that fashion. And I think that really hit Napier hard too. You could tell after the press conference, because that's his kind of ball, and it didn't work against Kentucky, and you kind of have to probably reevaluate some things at that point. So I think that's where they are this week.
Yeah, Buck says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon, we can't pass block. Our backs can't pass protect either. It's hard to air it out when you can't protect it. That is true, but it's not true. Good throwing teams, it's all a timing offense. I'm a firm believer that if you know where to go with the ball and your receivers run precise routes and know where they're going with it, you can take your steps and they can whiff up front and you get the ball off. You're going to get hit, but that's part of it. So I hear what you're saying, and deep routes should not take much longer than the underneath stuff. So anyway, the passing game, it's all philosophy. It's different philosophies here and there. So anyway, we had a question here for you, Scott. Let me try to find it. Oh, here it is. It's from Jim on the Titan More text line. He says, Scott, everybody sits here and talks about Billy's play calling, and I understand that. But people fail to mention that interior linemen on both sides of the ball just totally got dominated by the Kentucky Wildcats. Think about that. Got dominated by the Kentucky Wildcats. And that's a fact.
And that's kind of my last point. I think, when you look at the Gators in these last decade or so, and they've had some tough seasons for different reasons. Injuries. The 2013 year, I remember under Muschamp, they just lost all their best players. And then, of course, the end of the McElwain era, and then even Mullen's final stretch. They were still, I think, in most games. I mean, they got blown out once in a while, but I never left thinking, man, they were just outclassed physically. And that was what we saw against Kentucky. If it was Alabama or Georgia or maybe LSU, it probably wouldn't resonate as much with me. But it was Kentucky. And biases, 30-year biases are hard to shed, Shane. I mean, Florida fans and really SEC fans in general, they just have disregarded Kentucky for so long. But those days were over. And you can tell Mark Stoops has something really good working there. And that looked like a really good SEC team. Are they on the caliber of Georgia or LSU or Alabama? I don't know, but we'll find out where they stand as the season goes on. They'll have to play better in some areas, but physically, certainly, they were better than Florida. So, that's something that, again, it opened my eyes. And I think, what's happened here with the season to me is not a huge, 3-2 after 5 games. I mean, that doesn't really concern me much going into the season. I've always said I thought these were about a 6-6, 7-5 team. And I said that because I still think their rebuild is just in the middle phase, because, again, you go back and look at what they inherited. I said it many times. I think it's the worst Florida roster top to bottom they inherited since Charlie Pell got here. That's a long time. So they still don't have all the Jimmys and Joes, Shane, but at the same time, you've got to maximize what you do have. And I think they got some work there to do as well. And, that was really what got everyone, I think, on high alert after the Kentucky loss.
Yeah, well, the reason I picked us to win 8 games is because of what I saw this summer throwing the football. I thought we would be a really, really good throwing football team and lean on the pass. I was dumb to think that, I guess. Alan in Atlanta said, go ahead.
No, I would say, if they get some things worked out, the passing game's been good. Mertz isn't the problem.
Mertz has played great, but the problem is we need to throw the football before we're down 14 points, is my point.
Yeah, I think some of the timing and, when things would be, that certainly, yes, I agree.
Yeah. Alan in Atlanta on the Titan More text line says, the Gators shifted to 4 wideouts plus Montrell split out to the left on the second play of the game last Saturday. I'm not talking about shifting to empty. We still had 11 personnel, which means we only had 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back. So we went empty, which means 5 people at the wide receiver position, but they aren't wide receivers. I'm talking about no tight end in the game at all with 4 dudes that can run. And if you do go empty, let's put 5 wide receivers out there, So that's all personnel based. That's what causes defenses problems. And a lot of times when you shift and you're in 11 personnel and you shift the back out and you're empty, you know immediately if you have man or zone, because when the back shifts out, if a backer or safety goes with him, you know it's man coverage. If they don't, they just zone it up. So anyway, that's what I'm referring to in 4 wides. I'm talking about 10 personnel, meaning 4 wide receivers that are listed in the program as wide receivers, no tight ends, and 1 running back. So
that kind of approach can help, obviously, when you are getting out muscle against the Kentucky, to kind of come at them in a different way. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. All right, Scott, before we get you out of here, any good articles you got going this week?
Just some general stuff going into the game. I mean, I'm be curious to see the tone today with Billy. We got him on a conference call at 11:20, and then of course after practice tonight. So we'll get a little more of the mood from him, and I'll probably write off that. It's going to be very topical this week, Shane. I mean, I've been around long enough where you get weeks like this where everybody just the best thing that can happen is get to the next game and try to win it and move on. And I think that's the mentality this week in the building.
All right, text just came through, and we may have addressed it earlier. I can't even remember. It's from George in Savannah. Wants to know the status of Jordan Castell. He went out early and never came back, right, against Kentucky?
Yeah, he did, and I think he'll probably be listed as questionable, but I don't know the latest on him. We'll get that tonight from Billy after practice. But they had Castell go down, obviously. Unfortunate injuries with Caleb Douglas. I think Barber got banged up at one stretch there. They got banged up from all around at different positions, and again, that doesn't help when you are where you are in this kind of point in the season, trying to overcome a tough loss.
Yep, for sure. Scott, appreciate your time, my man. Good work as always, and we'll see you in the press box. Hey, and if you get a little urge that you're at the press conference, say, hey, Billy, do you think we'll ever see 4 wides?
I'll check in with that. See what.
Or if you don't want him to yell at you, tell one of them young reporters to ask it.
Yeah, I'll get one of those guys. He might not take that one too well for me, but it's an interesting thought. Something that from I really hadn't thought of in that way. But I mean, I understand how that would shift some potential of what you're doing. And yeah, I think as you mentioned earlier, I mean, I think a lot of people, okay, will it look different this week? I don't know. Maybe he'll do some things differently, but it's always a case of you have your players in college football from when the season starts, and you have your system, and it's often hard to change during the season, but you can certainly change some plays. So we'll see.
We got one more text here that came in, and I'm not aware of this at all. It says, did we ever address Mitchell leaving the team for medical reasons? Who is Mitchell?
He's talking about Dakota Mitchell. Yeah, we did. It was like right before the season, and Dakota, he hadn't played here. He'd been on the team for a couple of years. He was a good recruit coming out of Winter Park High School, but unfortunately had some medical issues and just kind of retired from the game. But he's been on the sideline at a couple of the home games, so he's still around. Gotcha. From what I can tell.
Okay. Good stuff as always, Scott. Appreciate your time, bud. Take care.
All right, see you, buddy.
Scott Carter, join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Rules Over State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Stephen on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Love this comment question. If a team is going to leave our single receiver side and cover 1 or 3 and half of the football field, we have to throw it there every play until they change defensively. It's that simple. That's why you line up in 3-by-1s. You want to see what they're doing to the single receiver. If they're going to play man coverage, you throw it until they take a safety and put over the top of him to help. You're exactly right. That's why teams line up in 3-by-1, to attack the single receiver getting single coverage. Great quote, great comment. And that's what I was yelling. Y'all don't hear me yelling. I'm pointing in the box. But the deep ball we threw to Caleb Douglas that he caught down to the 1, I kept pointing, throw it here, because there's nobody over there. A lot of green grass. So just fire it there. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. This day in 2003, Texas Tech Red Raiders QB, B.J. Simons. That's a Big 12 conference record with 8 touchdown passes, leading Texas Tech to a 59-28 win over Texas A&M. That's This Day in Sports brought to you by our good friends at Campus USA Credit Union. Appreciate all the comments on YouTube, Facebook, and text on the Titan MR text line. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll have Brent Beard and some other guests talking college football, folks. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.